Shu de Dietnish de Shrinis. My name is Charlene Storr, and I came in with my mask on because in this day and age, this is what we need to be wearing when we come out from our homes to public places. I am in a place where I am isolated and social distancing, so I'm taking it down while I talk to you. I came in to share my knowledge of Nadash. To let you know where my knowledge comes from, I am Chesh. The American name for us is Tolowa, but I'm also Maidu from my father's side, Wiat from a great-grandpa, and Pit River from another great-grandpa. I'm of mixed blood. I also have white blood, French, Welsh, and Russian. I have a little bit of everything, and I'm a woman of the world, or a grandma of the world if you want to say that. I grew up not knowing everything. I don't speak my language. When the words I first said when I started talking were Shu de Dietnish de Shrinis, good day today. I get to share what I know with you. Nadash is the word for dance. We did a Nadash for all of our ceremonies that we used to hold. We had all the solstices, the spring solstice, summer solstice, fall solstice, winter solstice. Some of you listening to this might have danced with us at one time or another. We danced many times throughout the year, more recently than we did when I was growing up. When I grew up, I didn't get to participate in Nadash until I was 16. Some of you might have danced already with our group, with Tolowa Nation, and with other dance groups. Some of us are of mixed blood and maybe danced with our other parents' tribe or our grandparents' tribe. Regardless of where you danced, there are always Nadash protocols to follow. Those protocols are important to us because it teaches us to be respectful of what we're learning and what we're allowed to do, that it's not something that we can do just because we feel like it. When you come to a Nadash, whether you're coming to dance, whether you're coming to participate, whether you're coming to help dress, you always need to come with a warm heart and a clean mind. No anger, no mad at someone, no being sad because you didn't get that popsicle you wanted. Those are things that are not part of a Nadash. You come in with a good feeling and a warm feeling in your heart because you're going to get to see a lot of your people, a lot of your cousins, a lot of your family, and we're always happy to see each other. A clean mind because you're ready to accept what you're going to learn. Because every time you dance, you learn something new. You learn something that's important for the future. When you're grown up, that you can share with your children whenever you get that old. I know you're not even close to that age, but I love sharing what I know with everyone. As I said, I was 16 when I first was asked to participate, and I was so happy and so proud because I could. I hadn't before that, and I knew I needed to learn. And wearing those dresses, they were old dresses then. I think they're probably in a museum now because they're so old they can't dance anymore. When we get past a certain age, we can't dance anymore. And so dresses are the same way, and same way with men's regalia. What I brought here today with me are some of the necklaces that we wear, one of the dresses that we use, a basket cap, and some of the materials we use. I'll explain all of it to you. Some of it is old material, some of it is new material. All of the regalia for whomever danced, whether it was a girl or a boy, was made by their family. I can't make regalia for you, but your mother, your grandmother, your auntie can make it for you. Your father, your uncle, your cousin can make it for you. So I make regalia and Nadash dance dresses for the girls in my family. I have made men's regalia for my nephews, my son, Mostly my nephews and my son, but I have a great grandson now, so maybe I'll make something for him when he gets bigger. I'll start out with what I know a little bit. This is from our Tolowa Nation dictionary, the very first dictionary we did, and it lists the feather dance clothes, and it's only one page. So you know there's not a lot of things that you need to dance, but you do have to have some of this stuff, and it really helps. The list is longer for the men's regalia. I have to get my glasses. I forgot my glasses. Just a second.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. All of a sudden I can't even read this. Oh. Okay, I'm back.
Yep.
The men wore loincloth, an abalone rim hat. They could wear a beaded belt, moccasins, fur, swan down feather headband, sea lion tusk hat. They had paint. Wasn't paint like you paint your walls and stuff. It's a different type of paint that they drew their markings on their face. They wore different kinds of feathers. They wore a feather hat. They had the woodpecker feathers, and if you've seen some of the dances, you've seen the woodpecker headband, where it has the woodpeckers going all the way around like this, and when you dance, you can see them dance in the firelight. It's called a dentalium head roll. And then they wore necklaces made out of dentalium mostly. They carried otter quivers with their bow and arrow in them. An otter quiver, you could have a otter quiver made up, but you could also have a fox quiver. They used all kinds of feathers. They had an obsidian blade, a dance knife, and of course the bow and arrows that they made. And there are a lot of people still making a lot of these things, so you just check with your parents, your family, your tribe, and they should be able to tell you if you can participate when you get older on how to make these things. So the women wore a fancy cap, similar to this, and I'll show you the apron and the wrap that they wore in a few minutes. And we had moccasins. We also had the paint that we put on our faces for when we danced. And one of the things that I learned that I didn't know was when we dressed the girls to dance, we always put a red circle on their cheeks because we thought that was the way, but we learned later on that the only girls that wear red on their cheeks are the big girls, are the big ones who are almost women ready to get married. Little girls don't wear that, so if you're a little girl and dancing, you won't get the little red circle on your cheek. We wore feathers, and some of them had a blouse or like a tank top sort of thing, and the mink hair wraps. Oh, that's what I forgot, my hair wraps. They also wore woodpecker headband too. Our Tolowa Hush women are the only ones on the north coast here that were able to wear a woodpecker headband, head roll. So some families have that. We danced in the National Genocide Conference last November in Sacramento. Was it November? August? I don't remember now. Anyway, one of the families brought their woodpecker head roll, and one of our girls wore it, and it was beautiful. And we have pictures of her in it, and it's just gorgeous on her because she's a tall, beautiful young girl anyway. So having this head roll, it just made her even more regal looking.
Wow.
And we used dentalium beads, and we used pine nuts, we used cedar berries, we used all kinds of things for our necklaces. And then we had a clamshell hishi, which I don't have. I've never been able to get one together, but we have those too. My niece made those. My niece made them for her daughter. So I will start with a little bit of the men's regalia materials I have. When I told you I made something for my nephews, I purchased some ermine because years ago, when I learned to read, I read about a lot of different materials that we used for regalia. I found them, some of them in books similar to these that archaeologists and anthropologists put together from the University of Berkeley, San Francisco. A lot of different universities came up and studied the chesh. So we have a lot of material in here that, but you have to learn how to read to learn it all, like out of here. They listed different things that happened at different places because we would go and trade for some of these materials, like obsidian blade that the men used. We had to trade for that. We didn't have that here. So we took abalone shells and traded, or clam shells and traded. So this map shows some of the areas that we went into. Just a lot of reading. I write my name on it so people will know it's my book. But there's just so much information in here that you can learn when you learn to read, such as cave on the Klamath River. We have a lot of caves in this area. A lot of people don't realize that. And they talk about there's some things on the Karuk, which are the tribes to the east of us. The Yurok, I forgot the Yurok name for themselves. You remember it? 6 feet away. Oh, you're 8 feet away. The Yuroks also didn't call themselves Yurok. They had their own name for themselves, like ours is Hush. Tolowa is the American name for us. So Yurok is the American name for them too. So if you ask them, they say they're Yurok, but that's only because you would know it from the American name. So we all had different names for ourselves, for our people. They have some stories in here. They just have all kinds of things that you can find out about Nadash. This is from the Redwood National Parks and their cultural papers that they had. And again, a lot of information, a lot of things that you can learn about if I'm not around to share with you, or if your grandparents or aunties and uncles aren't around to share. These are our culture element distributions in Northwestern California. I picked these up at the universities. So when you go to the universities or any bookstore, anywhere, secondhand bookstore, brand new bookstore, wherever you see books, see they show you how to make headbands, how to place the feathers. You just pick these things up and you'll learn all kinds of things. All kinds of things. And this is one on the Oregon coast, along the Oregon coast. We're here in Del Norte, Northwestern California, but Curry County was also a part of the area where a lot of Tolowa, Tututni, Chetco lived. So we have all of those, and then the Aboriginal population. Aboriginal means Indian in the American language. So it just tells you all kinds of things. So when you learn to read, you'll find all kinds of interesting things to read about, to learn about. A lot of places that you can go check out around here, because as I told you about the caves, there are a lot of caves around here. A lot of beautiful places, mountains, where you can go up to the top of the mountain. You can see all the way out to the ocean, all the way up north into Oregon, and all the way south, way past Klamath. You'll learn all those things. Now, men's regalia. I started out there and I told you where I found out about some of these things. This is an ermine that was skinned that I purchased. We used to hunt these for food, but we also we never wasted anything. We also used all parts of the animal. So what you do is you have to put a backing in these things to make sure it doesn't roll in up on itself like it's doing now. And then however you want to do it, I can't get in, it's twisted in. You can either sew the heads together like this and then come around with the headband like this, or you can cut it off and make it nice and smooth here. And then these hang down in the back so that they go down similar to that. But it's for men to wear this regalia. And when I made them for my nephews, I used flicker feathers, smaller than this, to decorate the sides of them so they would have the decoration. You can use feathers, you can use, well, nowadays they use a lot of beads, you can use clam shells, different types of shells that you can use, add pieces of abalone to make them. So I made 2 of my nephews and a son one of these headbands to wear when they dance, because you need to provide your own regalia for dancing if you can. So your parents or your grandparents, aunties, uncles can all help you do that. These are hawk feathers, and we use these when we dance, the men. Women don't use these, but the men will. And I learned about a headdress that was Tolowa in the museum, the Del Norte Historical Society Museum in town in Crescent City, at the corner of 6th and H. They have a Tolowa headdress that's a leather cap, and it has a bunch of feathers of different sizes sticking up from the top of it, and it's cut off like into designs on the feather. It's interesting. Go look at it. If you go to Trees of Mystery, there's one in the museum at Trees of Mystery. The one in town here has Quetzal feathers, blue jay. And what they do is they put these feathers to hang down the back of it. It hangs down like this big piece of leather. It hangs down and it's fringed all the way down the sides here. And then you have these feathers sticking up like the bird got excited and his feathers went whoosh like that. But anyway, these hang off the back, and these are blue jay feathers. So when you see feathers around, pick them up, look at them, see if they're blue jay feathers. They also had the one at Trees of Mystery with flicker feathers, and these are all flicker feathers. If you've ever seen the flicker feather, you would never know he had all these colors in there, because he doesn't look like it when he's just flying around. But they're all different colors, different shapes, but they're pretty.
Very pretty.
They're very pretty, colorful. And who knew he had a feather like this under all of that? So when you see feathers, pick them up. And even seagull feathers have been used. It's surprising, all of the waste we didn't have, because we used every part of every animal we found. We never wasted anything. We didn't have garbage dumps or trash dumps. We've recycled, reused, reinvented everything that we ever used. Our hides, we used as dance dresses or as clothing. With plants, we used the roots, we used the stalk, we used the flower of a lot of plants for our food, for our medicine, for making baskets. So we were able to use everything safely in our land when we lived here a long time ago. Things are not as safe now. If you're picking plants, you have to be careful that you don't pick close to the road, because sometimes they spray the roadside with a weed killer to kill the weeds that grow. So just be careful when you pick plants for medicine or for baskets or to use in your regalia, that you pick in a safe spot. And the last feathers I'm showing you are the eagle feathers, and both our men and women wore them. I made these and had my son carve redwood sticks out, because when the girl braids her hair, you can weave it in and out of the braid to hold it in, because we didn't have bobby pins or safety pins or anything like that, barrettes, to hold these things in, so we had to come up with a way to do it. And so we did this with, when the girl's hair was braided, it would just stick in her. My hair's not braided, but you can kind of get the idea of what it looks like. You guys are lucky today. This is the first time I've shared this much information for one of our activities. We do a lot of things, but NAIDOSH is an important thing to us. And as far as men's regalia goes, they had the antler headdress they wore, antler cap, and it was And basically the men made caps like this to wear, but they were more plain. They didn't have designs on them and stuff. But what they would do is they'd weave these for everyday wear. And then when they wanted to make an antler one, they'd find one that was fairly new, or even make a new one, and they would attach the antler horns to it. So the horns would stick up off of the cap. And I'm not sure how they attached it because I've never made one or looked at one to see how it was made. But when they do the antler stags fighting, when you notice the men dancing, they hold their hands similar to like the deer feet, and they come up, they rear up, and they have their antlers that they come up like that with. So there are a lot of ways when you watch someone dance, and it's not just the Tolowa, the Chush, it's the Yurok, the Karuk. All of our dancers up in this area had many dances that they used these types of things on. So just keep an eye out and watch and learn and see what they do, how they move when they dance. That's how you're going to learn. So that's it for what I know of the men's regalia. So I'm going to start with the women's, and I'm going to stand up now. So just a second while I get stand up, move over here. And I'll start on this end. When we have the girls' dance dress, we have the apron. You can kind of hear the noise it makes with the, and that noise comes from the abalone. This is abalone. This is a deer hide that's been tanned, and you cut it, and you shape it, and you put fringe on it, and you make the fringe as long as you want or as short as you want. There are pine nuts. You have to go out and gather pine nuts. And then the aloe vera, it's called the aloe vera shell, which we call they shrink. And you just hang them in there on the fringes or separately on a separate strand of sinew. And you just put it all on there as much as you want. And this is for a younger girl, so it's not a big apron. And then you have the ties, because you have to tie it around. So if I tied this around you, and I would be going around you, and I'd come in and I'd tell you, suck it in, tight as you can, and I'd get it just as tight as I can, like this. So when you dance, so it won't fall off you. We don't want these falling off of you. So that's why we're telling you, suck it in as tight as you can, much as you can, so we make sure it doesn't fall off. So that's why when you're getting dressed, sometimes they tell you, suck it in, pull your belly in as far as you can. And then we have the wrap. And that goes around. That goes around the girdle, and the apron hangs underneath here. So your apron would be on, and the wrap would come around you. And then we would tie the apron onto you. And you can hear. So when the girl's dancing, you hear this. When they're walking, you hear it. That's our music. We didn't have drums, but we had the men's voices singing their songs. And so you would be dancing, keeping rhythm with the men. And when we dance, you'll learn that when you grow up. The steps to do and the way to move. So it's really a lot of fun, and you feel so good when you do it. But you're also very, very tired, because if you're not used to doing it, your legs get really sore. These dresses get really heavy. The necklaces are really heavy when you get all of this on. Some of our older dresses can weigh up to 50 pounds, so you have to be a very big, strong girl to wear them. And we have some nice, beautiful, tall, strong young women who wear them. And they love to hear the sound of the dresses that they make when they're swinging and dancing. It's so pretty. It's so relaxing, I guess. Makes you feel real good. And that's why we need your really good heart when you come in to dance, because it keeps that feeling going for us. Now we have different types of things that we add to that wrap and that apron. Mostly nowadays we don't wear moccasins too often because we just don't have many people who make moccasins, but you can make moccasins if you want. There are many patterns out there. There are many ways to make a moccasin. We also had tule reed sandals, shoes that we would wear too. And but that means wading out into the tules and gathering those weeds. And probably if you would learn to do that, somebody would yell, "Oh, bring back a few roots for me. I love those roots in salads and soups and stews. It's better than potatoes." So I go out and gather those a little bit, not too often. I don't gather as much anymore because my knees are old. And when I walk in cold water, it makes them really ache. So I have to look for a young kid to do it. So what we add to the apron, if you don't have a blouse on or if you don't have a halter top on, because in the old days we didn't have blouses and halter tops, but we were also not teased by anyone. So if someone teases you about the way you look or about the way you something fits you, you just look at him and tell him, well, it wouldn't fit you any better, or it wouldn't look any better on you. Looks good on me and I like it. People like to tease sometimes and say mean things, but you just have to tell them back, you're not as mean as they are, so you're not going to worry about it. But this is a modern day necklace. It's a background necklace. We had background necklaces, and then we had other necklaces we added. These are just simply beads, all strung together. This is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 strands.
Wow.
And then they're all tied together and wrapped up with sinew, so they won't come apart. This one is made with they shrink and beads, different colored beads, purple beads, 2 colors of purple beads, and it's sort of a gray bead. This is also a background necklace. This would go over the top of this one. And then you would put this one. I won't lift it up because I just discovered one of the strands is broken. But this is made with dentalium, the beads, the pine nuts, and it looks also like it's about an 11 strand necklace. Yeah, that's all I see, pine nuts and the beads, the purple. And one thing I need to tell you about all of this, since this is all sort of matching, this is a nasset with beads, and again wrapped at the top to wear. And it has to be really strong to hold this because this is a heavy necklace. But you notice the colors, the purple in all of these necklaces and these beads. This is the last one that will go on top, and it's all nasset and beads. And not nasset.
They shrink? Dentalium?
Dentalium. Sorry, I'm just trying
It's
to
okay.
talk like old woman. Dentalium is always worn. The last couple of necklaces, 2 or 3 necklaces, are always dentalium on the top because they're very fragile and they break easy. So you don't want them bouncing under these heavier shells and beads. Boy, that was a moment I totally drew a blank.
Happens to the best of us.
But I wanted to tell you, this dress was made for Tolowa Nation by the Yurok tribe at one of their Gona conferences. They wanted to do something for one of the local tribes. So someone there, who was a good friend of the family, said, let's make a dance dress for Tolowa Nation, because at that time we didn't have a lot of dresses. And so we were always borrowing dresses from people to dance. I still borrow dresses, but in my family alone now, since we started making dresses, there's 6 of us girls, and we have 5 women's dresses plus my mother's dress. So we have 6 women's dresses that we can use, but I still, because we have grown in population, I still borrow 3 other dance dresses, and they're absolutely beautiful. And 4 or 5 little girls' dresses, because we have a lot of little girls that want to dance, but it's really hard to find the little girls' dresses. So these are all go together, and it all matches. The purples with the whites and the browns and the dark blues, and they just all kind of go together. Ooh, even my eyeglasses match the purple. And then on the top, we put the basket cap. This is a basket cap that I bought for one of my granddaughters, and I bought it. They're very hard to get nowadays, and very few make basket caps anymore. So if any of you are interested in basket weaving, get started now. You can make little baskets for your mom to use in the kitchen. You can make little baskets to store your stuff in. And when you get bigger, you make a little bigger basket to store bigger stuff in. And then you get up to the point where you can make a basket cap. And if you can make a basket cap, it means you're a really good basket weaver. I have 2 sisters who were basket weavers. One of them is gone now, and the other one, she's like me, you're getting a little too hard to get out there and get the materials. But I have a garden, I have a yard. Hopefully some of you can come on a plant ID walk to my place. I have a yard where I have the fern that grows there that you can get this black from. I have hazel sticks that grow there that you can gather hazel sticks to make baskets with. So come visit me someday on a plant ID walk. Next these are necklaces that I gathered for the very first dress I made for my granddaughter when she was 9. My granddaughter, when she was little, was not little. She was more round than she was little. So the little girl's dresses that were available for her didn't fit her, so I had to make one that was a little bit bigger round to fit her. And we made these necklaces for her dress. We call it the orange dress because we have a lot of orange in it. These are the background necklaces, and these are just out of beads. Different beads that we bought. If you go to any Indian activities, you can find people selling beads, selling shells. So these are background necklaces that we made for the orange. And this is another one with they shrink, but it's red and black. And then we have these with pine nuts with different colored beads on it. This has gold, mother of pearl, and orange. And then these are just orange and pine nuts. Oh, and there's abalone at the bottom here of this one. And then this is one, it's abalone and different kinds of beads. It looks like cedarberry. Put my glasses on. Yeah, cedarberry, a little brown. That's a cedarberry. And so you just slip them on the little fringe, and they don't fall off. And here's they shrink at the bottom. And this green thing is my identification that this is my necklace. I tie it on a lot of my necklaces. Because sometimes it's hard because a lot of the necklaces look alike. And what we would do to be ready to go dance in today's day and age, no fingernail polish, no lipstick. You just make sure that you have all your jewelry on if you're a big girl. Little girls wear jewelry too, but not that often, but bigger girls do. And earrings, you can wear earrings as long as they're not gold. I think silver would be okay. I have abalone earrings on. And we used abalone for a lot. We used it in our dresses. We ate the meat out of it. We made bowls out of it sometimes. If they were smaller, we would use them as bowls. As you read on that list of mints, they made a abalone. If you look at the abalone shell, it has a real thick edge to it. So it had a band, abalone band, headband they made to wear. And abalone men wore abalone and dentalium on their necklaces. They did not wear pine nuts. They would wear, they shrink. I'm trying to think what else. What other, anosset Men very rarely didn't wear nasset, but the women did. And some of our dresses have nasset on it, and these nasset are very heavy. My mother and my sister and my niece all have dresses made with nasset, rows and rows of nasset, about that much. Those are the dresses that weigh about 50 pounds when you dance in them. You have to be a big, strong girl to dance in them. So anytime you want to dance, remember, we show respect to the dance leader. You let them know you want to dance. If you have a dress to wear, you can let them know that. If your brother or cousin wants to dance and they have their own hides to use, you let the dance leader know that. And always enjoy what you're doing, because you're doing it with a good heart and a good mind, and knowing that we all participate the best way we can. And like I said, if you learn to read, you can learn a lot of things that you might not know right now. And I know sometimes reading is hard, so if you need help, you ask us. We'll help you learn to read. So thank you for allowing me to come in and share this stuff with you on our NADOSH for the Kresh. And remember, almost all tribes in the area have a lot of the same rules. So if you're from another tribe, you go to your parents and ask who the dance leader is, and learn from that person what you need to do to be able to dance with your tribe. Because we're all from different tribes and we all learn different ways of dancing. So you really need to learn that. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your life learning.